Ms. Campbell, you lied to Senator Grassley, didn't you?
No, Senator.
You told Senator Grassley that you've never represented workers' dignity, didn't you?
That is correct, Senator.
That's not true, is it?
Senator, I have never represented that organization.
Yes, ma'am. That's not true, is it?
Senator, it is true. I served for a period of 2 or 3 years, more than a decade ago, on an advisory board to help them set up as a nonprofit.
In fact, you were so supportive of workers' dignity that not only did you represent them, you didn't charge them a fee. Isn't that correct?
Senator, when I was on their advisory board more than a decade ago, I did volunteer my time.
Right. You know what this is? Do you recognize that picture?
No, Senator.
This is from Workers' Dignity's website. There you are, right here. It's got your name. Wow. Judge Lopez, you have more sympathy for the criminal than the victim, don't you?
Senator, I worked on behalf of victims of crime zealously as a prosecutor. As a judge, I listened carefully to understand impact on victims, and I have always take that into account.
Do you know Micah Smith?
Michael Smith, Senator?
Micah, M-I-C-H.
I don't believe I know a Micah Smith, Senator, no.
Okay. I bet the victims of Micah Smith remember Micah Smith. If you don't,
Senator, there was a defendant I sentenced named Michael Smith.
Mr. Smith molested a 4-year-old girl, didn't he?
Senator, he was convicted after trial of unlawful sexual contact under Maine law.
That's a nice way of putting it.
That was the charge, Senator.
Right. Mr. Smith molested a 9-year-old girl, didn't he?
Senator, again, he was convicted of unlawful sexual contact against 2 children. In that case, I did impose the sentence the state requested.
At oral argument, this is how Mr. Smith's conduct was described. Quote, you heard this testimony. All of the abuse is done in the same fashion. Smith would rub his fingers in a circular motion on the vagina of each child, and he did so repeatedly. Now, where I come from, we call that sexual abuse. You can pretty it up all you want to, Judge. This is what you said at Mr. Micah's sentencing. These are your words, not mine. What I can say, you said, is that this is a very tragic situation of a person who has a lot of good in him. A lot of good in him. Having done a very reprehensible thing to 2 young children, causing extreme damage. Did I read that correctly?
Senator, in that case, I imposed the sentence the state requested.
Did I read that, your quotation, correctly?
Senator, that, I think, is a portion of what I said at sentencing. My focus was on...
But the words I read, are they correct?
That's what was reported in the paper, Senator. I have not seen a transcript of the sentencing.
I bet the victims remember, Judge. You might have forgotten, just like you forgot his name, but I bet the victims remember. And then you handed down a sentence. You gave Mr. Smith 12 years, but you suspended 6 of them, didn't you?
Senator, that was at the recommendation of the state because
but it was your ruling. Did you? Is that an accurate statement of your ruling?
Senator, I accepted the state's recommendation that 6 years should be suspended so that Mr. Smith would be required to participate in sex offender treatment.
I appreciate the lengthy explanation, but I think it's a pretty simple question. That was your sentence, right?
Yes, I imposed the sentence the state requested in that case.
Are you familiar with the Bangor Daily News?
I am the Bangor Daily News senator.
Right. Did you read the article they wrote, quote, "Light sentences send a message that domestic violence does not matter," end quote. You remember that article?
I have read it, Senator. I believe it mischaracterizes a case that is
That
described.
article was about you, wasn't it?
My recollection, Senator, is that it described several different cases. The case that I worked on that was described there, the defendant in that case was acquitted by a jury of the most serious conduct, and that was not reflected in that article. And
So the newspaper got it wrong.
that was an op-ed that I believe misunderstood what happened, which is the jury acquitted the defendant of the most serious conduct that he was charged with. I was not the fact finder in that case, and so at sentencing I was bound by the jury's verdict.
Let me ask you, I'm going to run out of time here. I wish I had more time for you, Ms. Campbell, but I've seen a lot of activist judges, and I'm not saying you're the most activist, but the list you're on, it sure doesn't take long to call the roll. Let me finish with this question. I'm going to end as I began, Judge Lopez. You have more sympathy for criminals than victims, don't you?
Senator, I have the support of the Maine Coalition to End Domestic Violence and the Maine Coalition Against Sexual Assault. I believe that support is a reflection of the work I did as a prosecutor, as well as the care I take with cases involving victims as a judge.
You're embarrassed to answer my question, aren't you?
Ms. Campbell, I'm trying to understand your answers to this committee. Let's start with the workers' dignity question, because your truthfulness under oath is surely, I notice my friends across the way now are utterly uninterested in any organization you've been a part of. They're suddenly utterly uninterested in things you wrote in the past. They're utterly uninterested in who you give money to. That wasn't the case just a few years ago, but be that as it may, surely they're interested in your truthfulness. I have now counted, just as I've sat here today, 4 separate answers by you, all of them conflicting as to what exactly was your relationship with workers' dignity. So let's just get this nailed down. First of all, did you disclose your relationship with workers' dignity to this committee? Don't look at the chairman, look at me.
I'm not sure that I included that. I don't remember, Senator.
Oh, I think you do. The answer is no. You did not disclose it to this committee. Then you told Senator Grassley, I've never represented that group. Then you told Senator Lee, next, that you had indeed advised them, and that you'd advised them as a member of a legal advisory board. You said 10 years ago, right? Then you told Senator Cruz that, in fact, you told Senator Lee you'd advised them briefly. You told Senator Cruz, actually, you'd advised them for 3 years. Then you told Senator Durbin that it wasn't 10 years ago, it was 15 years ago. So what is it exactly? You didn't disclose your association with this radical group to the committee. You're currently listed now, your own bio lists you as a legal advisor to the Workers' Dignity Group from 2013 to the present. To the present. The Tennessee Bar Association cited your work with this group for your nomination. So what is the story? When did you start working for Workers' Dignity?
Senator, more than a decade ago, for 2 or 3 years, I served on a legal advisory committee or board.
So you gave them legal advice.
We were helping them set up as a nonprofit.
So you represented them. So you lied to Senator Grassley earlier when he explicitly asked you, did you do any legal work? And you said no.
Senator,
In fact, you served on a legal advisory board. That's your testimony now. Correct?
Senator, I served on this board.
On a legal advisory board, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you lied to Senator Grassley here under oath. What else have you lied about? Workers' Dignity has condemned Israel's ethnic cleansing of Palestine. They have said that Israel is engaged in ethnic cleansing. Do you agree with that?
No, Senator.
How can I believe you? You just lied under oath a moment ago to Senator Grassley. You've lied to us up and down on this committee. I mean, this is a serious problem, Ms. Campbell. I have to say, I've never seen a witness, never, in 5 years in this committee, sit here and lie to us and change the story person to person. Why are you doing it? What is it? Why are you afraid to tell the truth about workers' dignity? Why have you lied to this committee? Why didn't you disclose it? Why did you lie to Senator Grassley? Why have you changed your story every time you're asked?
Senator, I have not lied to you today. I've tried to represent my participation with this group.
What you've done is you've misrepresented your participation with this group. You apologize to Senator Cruz for any confusion. You've created the confusion deliberately. Deliberately. Let's talk about something else that you've created confusion for. The biggest political donation that you've ever made is to Odessa Kelly, this radical candidate who said that members of this committee are Satanists, who endorsed violence. Why did you give money to Odessa Kelly? Over $1,000. I mean, that's not nothing. That may be nothing to you. That's not nothing to most people. Why did you give money, the most money you've ever given, to this person?
Senator, Miss Kelly lives in my neighborhood. She's one of my neighbors.
And you agreed with her views?
No, on those views that you've read, I don't agree with them.
Oh, I haven't read any of them. I'm just asking you. Do you agree with her views? I mean, you gave her more money than anybody else. Your governor, your state senator, your attorney general. You gave her the most.
I do not agree with all of her views, no, Senator.
Well, which ones do you agree with? Can you name one?
Senator, I know that she is my neighbor, and I'm a neighborly person.
Oh, I see. You're a neighborly person. Well, I tell you this. You have represented to this committee that you didn't know what Odessa Kelly said and the frankly outrageous things that she said and did. You said you didn't know anything about workers' dignity. You lied to us about your association with that group. You said you didn't know anything about the Tennessee Immigrant Refugee Rights Coalition, who thanks you personally in their introduction. You said you didn't know anything about that. I mean, either all of these people are liars or you are, Ms. Campbell. It's one or the other. It's quite a pattern. Maybe they all are, but given what you've told us under oath today, I think the answer is you are. And for that reason, you are utterly unqualified to sit on the federal bench.
Senator's time has expired. Thank you, Ms. Campbell, and thank you, Judge Lopez. You're free to go. Please give us a moment to reset, and then
I take it Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. I take it we're not going to have a second round?
That's correct. We've got a second panel. Senator.
I'd like to request a second round for this panel.
And the chairman said when you were asked earlier that you consider a second round. So you
I did, and we have a second panel.
No, you said a second round for this is what you were asked about.
That's correct. I was asked about that. I said I'd consider it. I've considered it. We've got a second panel. My view, we've got to move on. Thank you.
But I said pretty please.
You did. I will grant you that, Senator.
With sugar on top.
You know, that Southern charm, it works, but not
Apparently
quite.
not well enough.